Hey, how's it going? I'm Beatnik. Today I'm going to look at a game that I saw at AvCon in Adelaide a few weeks ago called ScreenCheat. ScreenCheat's an interesting new FPS coming out on Linux, Windows and Mac. It's been developed by a small indie team based in Melbourne called Samurai Punk, and it's getting released by Surprise Attack Games. It's a really interesting take on the standard first-person shooter formula. It's going off of the old retro games where you're sitting on the couch playing with your friends in games like GoldenEye. And they've taken what was one of the most frustrating things about that, where everyone's looking at your screen because you see all four at once on the screen. And what they've done is they've taken that and turned that into the core mechanic for this game. So the way that works is every one of the characters is invisible. So no one can see themselves or where anyone else is. And the only way that you can pinpoint where people are is screen cheating. So even if you're playing online multiplayer, you're still seeing all four screens at once as if it was local. Which is a really interesting way of getting around how to do this mechanic, which is primarily a local thing, but now you can do it online. And yeah, it's quite effective. It's a really interesting twist that they've added to a genre that's getting quite crowded, and it's getting really hard to do new things with it. And I think they've really found something that's quite unique and quite fun. It's added a real new challenge to first-person shooters. Samurai Punk have done a really interesting thing with the weapons here to balance it out. Although everyone is invisible, the smoke from the weapons is not, and they really use this to balance out each of the guns. The way this works is, depending on how powerful the gun is, will depend on how big the smoke is that comes out of the end, and also how long that smoke will come out. So the smallest weapon is a revolver, which you can start just spamming and spraying bullets everywhere, and the smoke that comes out is quite small. So it becomes quite hard to spot them as you're doing it, but the trade-off is the weapon's not as powerful, it's harder to hit. On the opposite end of the scale is a grenade launcher, which has a massive explosion, and it's easier to hit people, and multiple people if you're lucky, but the smoke comes out at the end of the barrel for quite a long time, so it makes it much easier for other people to spot you. So it becomes this real juggling act in terms of figuring out the gun that's going to work for you, whether you want to go for the quick bursts of the revolver or go with the shotgun, which has a nice spray but long reload time, or whether you want to go for the grenade launcher. There's also a melee weapon, but this is more for fun. It doesn't follow the same balance rules, but it's more to humiliate people when you get them with it, because it's very easy to see and quite hard to hit. So it goes completely against the rules. Now, the other thing that I think they've done really well with this game is balancing out the maps. They've color-coded all the sections of the maps so that it's possible to figure out where you are and also where the other people are on the screen. The main map I liked playing the most was the museum, which is a giant spiral staircase and with a middle area with a giant dinosaur there. Then everything sort of spirals around that area on different levels, and the way they've made it easy to identify who's where is by making each level a different color. So there were points in the match where I was playing where you'd look around and you'd notice everyone was in red, so suddenly, alright, I've got the grenade launcher, you can just lob it in there and then get lucky with hitting a couple of them there. I think it's just an interesting element to add to the maps that's really worked with their mechanic well, and it allows everyone to get the most out of the whole screen cheat mechanic, and yeah, it creates a really fun game. They're releasing a third map midway through the beta, which is going to be really interesting to see, because the maps they got at the moment are completely opposite to each other, whereas the museum's focusing on the verticality of having different levels that you can be playing on, and that's how it's all color-coded. The other one goes for everything being on a more flat playing ground, and it's all separated into sections by the color. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this third one, and also what they're going to be doing in the full release. All in all, I really enjoyed ScreenCheat. The ScreenCheat mechanic I thought was going to be a bit of a gimmick, and I thought it would get old quickly, but after a few hours playing with some friends, it really doesn't get old. It's done really nicely in the game, and the level design and the weapon balancing all complements it really well. And yeah, I was honestly very surprised at how much fun it is. It's also cool to see a game like this that's so interesting and different coming out of Australia with a small dev studio, and I'm really excited to see what else they can do in the future, and excited to see how this goes when it gets released. So yeah, thanks for watching my first impressions video. The game itself is coming out on the 1st of October on Steam, It's actually hitting open beta today, the 4th of August, so I'll put a link in the description so that you can sign up for that if you want to give the game a shot. I'll be definitely very keen to have more people to play against. The beta runs through until the 3rd of September, and they're putting out a content drop on the 18th, which is going to put out a extra map, extra weapon, and an extra game mode. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that mixes things up. Anyway, as I said, I hope you've enjoyed this. This game's been a lot of fun, and yeah, hope you get a chance to play. And I'll catch you in the next video. See ya. Got you.
Fuck you!
God damn.
Fuck it, Pete.
Yeah, long range with the
Pete.
shoddy.